She walked into the dealership with a folder in her hands, the same folder she had carried for days. The salesman, oblivious to the storm about to hit, flashed her a smile. But there was one question, one simple inquiry that turned everything upside down. Why wasn't this fee on the contract yesterday? The salesman's smile vanished. His voice dropped, sharp and cold. You already signed. Shut up and take the car. But what he didn't know was that someone was watching. Someone who had seen behind the curtain of that dealership's glossy facade. Someone who had the power to bring it all down. Jackson Reeves didn't drive into the dealership lot like the owner of a successful business should. There was no luxury car, no polished shoes, no security entourage. Just a man in a simple black 2010 Honda Civic, parking 2 blocks away and walking the rest of the way with a slow, deliberate pace. It was a cool morning in Tennessee, with a mist rolling off the street, blurring the signs until he was close enough to read them. Reeves Auto Group. Bold white letters across the glass, his name, his legacy. But something about it felt off. Jackson didn't walk through the front doors like an executive, a man in charge. No, he slipped in through the service entrance, the side door where the real work had once started, where honesty lived, or used to. Now, the only thing he saw was a silence that felt all wrong. The bell above the service bay door dinged politely as Jackson scanned the floor. The receptionist was gone. The sales pit was empty. A couple of guys were chatting near the water cooler. There was a vague sense of abandonment in the air. It wasn't even 9:45 a.m., but the place already felt off. This dealership had once been one of his cleanest operations, located in Charlotte, Tennessee, a middle-range volume business with a high-trust market. Or at least, that's what it used to be. Whispers had started to circulate. Quiet complaints. Discrepancies that, taken alone, might have seemed minor, but together. They were enough to raise Jackson's suspicions. A customer in Knoxville had claimed their warranty was padded. Someone in Franklin said the numbers didn't match what they signed. Jackson didn't come here to investigate one bad deal. He came to see if the tone had changed. As Jackson passed by the row of lightly used Camrys, the kind this branch moved fast, he saw her, a young woman, standing alone with a manila folder pressed against her chest. A car seat sat on the ground beside her, and a baby, no older than 6 months, slept peacefully in a yellow blanket. She wasn't talking to anyone, just waiting. Something about her looked familiar. Jackson stepped closer, moving quietly, carefully. Then it hit him. Rachel Monroe. She used to work for him. Not here, but 2 states over, at the Memphis regional office. She had been sharp, principled, and quiet, but she had raised concerns about discrepancies in the invoicing of a fleet sale. Despite being right, she had vanished. No HR complaints, no formal exit, just gone. And now, here she was. Not an employee, but a customer, standing in front of him. Jackson stepped back, positioning himself carefully behind a rotating display stand, just outside the glass office where Rachel had been escorted. He didn't want to be seen yet. Not like this. Not yet. Through the reflection in the glass, he could see the salesman approaching. Chad Morrison, according to the nameplate on his lapel. Chad flashed a smooth smile, clipboard in hand, but Jackson could already sense that this wouldn't be a smooth transaction. "Miss Monroe, it's great to see you again," Chad greeted, his voice syrupy smooth. Rachel, however, didn't return the smile. Her fingers tightened around the folder, her eyes never leaving it. Chad led her through the narrow hallway, into the small office where the finance department conducted their deals. He moved like a man who thought he was in control. And Rachel, despite the nervous energy creeping through her body, wasn't about to let him have the upper hand. Chad set the paperwork down with a flourish, talking a little too fast, a little too smoothly. "This version includes a few post-signing delivery items. Totally normal stuff. I'll walk you through it." Rachel's fingers tightened even further. "Wait, this wasn't on the sheet I signed yesterday." Chad's grin didn't fade. "Corporate updated the delivery process last quarter. Happens all the time. Same price, just broken out a little differently. Let me explain." But Jackson knew something was wrong. His gut tightened as he scanned the paperwork from his vantage point. The format was off. The fonts mismatched. The section headers didn't match corporate templates. And then, VIN etching. That's when Jackson froze. VIN etching had been discontinued years ago. He had specifically authorized that discontinuation after a regional audit found representatives in Arkansas charging for it without disclosing the truth. And now here it was, on the paper in Chad's hand, a ghost fee. Rachel's eyes flicked toward the exit. She didn't challenge him directly, not yet, but her resolve was starting to build. It was in that moment that Jackson knew Rachel wasn't just another customer. She was someone who had the courage to stand up, to call out the dishonesty that so many others had accepted. And Chad? He wasn't just a salesman. He was a predator, counting on Rachel's silence, assuming she wouldn't push back. Rachel asked, her voice quiet but firm, "Can I take this home to review before I sign again?" That's when Chad's tone shifted. "The car is being detailed as we speak. If you leave now, we'll have to rerun your file from scratch." But Jackson couldn't stand by anymore. He took one step into the office, his voice calm but firm. "That delivery fee? That's not part of the agreement." Chad blinked, but Rachel, her grip on the folder tightening, didn't flinch. Jackson pointed at the page. "Where does it say this dealership is authorized to charge for VIN etching?" Chad hesitated. His bravado melted as he realized Jackson wasn't bluffing. Jackson didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He turned to Tom Whitaker, the general manager, who had walked into the room after hearing the commotion. His face was pale, his eyes wide. "Mr. Reeves," he began, but Jackson cut him off. "Number, explain this to me, right now." Tom stammered, but Jackson's gaze didn't waver. "I'm not here to play games. This isn't about you or Chad. It's about how we treat people." As Jackson continued, he made it clear that things were changing. He wasn't going to just fire one person and call it a day. He was going to rebuild, starting with the small details, the culture, the tone, every interaction, every decision, and every customer that walked through the door. In the days that followed, the dealership changed. Jackson cleaned house, but not just by firing one person. He reviewed every deal, refunded overcharged customers, and instituted a new policy. Treat every customer like they're buying their first car, with dignity, patience, and truth. 3 days later, Jackson returned. No disguise this time. Dressed in a sharp suit, he walked through the front doors, past the receptionist, through the main sales floor. Employees watched as he entered the break room for an all-hands meeting. He didn't need a microphone. He didn't need to raise his voice. He just stood in front of the team and said, "We've lost our way. But it's time to rebuild, with honesty, with trust, and with respect for every person who walks through this door." Jackson wasn't looking for applause. He wasn't searching for headlines. He just wanted his business back, built on integrity and trust, not shortcuts and lies. The silence in the room was more than enough. It was a promise, a shift, a commitment. This time, when Rachel returned a month later, it wasn't just about the car. It was about something more profound. Jackson had kept his word, and in that moment, he knew the culture had changed, and it was real.